Good morning. This is the Blaine's World podcast, where conversations are both worth hearing and seeing. You can watch each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And for more information about past episodes and present episodes of this show as well, you can look at my website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, coming to you in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we share positive news and uplifting stories about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce two of my favorite local folks, and they are Carolina Quiroga and Tom Chalmers. And folks, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. Okay, and that's Tom, and
Hello.
that's Carolina. Okay, and I should tell you that they're involved in a very exciting project coming up. But before we talk about that project, let me just have you both introduce yourselves. And Carolina, if I can turn to you first, if you can kind of give your background and keep it to under like maybe 30 minutes. If you can just give your background, you can a Reader's Digest version.
Totally. I can talk for 30 minutes straight just about myself. I'm Carolina Quiroga. I'm a storyteller, performer, puppeteer, writer, and I've been in Nashville for 3 years now. I'm excited. I'm also a teaching artist, so I'm in schools a lot. And what we're gonna be talking today is one of the few adult shows that I've put on stage. Yeah,
Okay, and this is something you wrote, is that correct?
I did.
Okay, and somehow you con Tom Chalmers, the infamous Tom Chalmers, to be involved in this. And Tom, you're exactly. And Tom, yours is going to be tough to kind of summarize your background, but just
Oh,
can talk a little bit about what you're all about.
yeah. Tom Chalmers. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm a writer, performer, producer, instructor, and some people know me from the world of improv, and where I'm a member of Reasonably Priced Babies and other things. But also, I was known to produce a storytelling series here in town for many years called Listen to This, Stories and More on Stage. And that is where I came in contact with Carolina. Um, Working at Story Parlor, Aaron, the lovely Aaron at Story Parlor, introduced me to a few people who that's what they do. Carolina actually went to graduate school for storytelling kind of thing and said, hey, if you have a chance to feature someone like Carolina in your program, you'll be happy that you did. And I did, and she was right. I was very happy to do so. So you'll hear a little bit about how we came together to work on this show. But yeah, as someone who has done a lot of directing in my life, theater, sketch, fringe shows, I luckily reached out to Carolina at a time where she was just about to present the show that we're going to do next week as part of this year's Fringe Fest back in March. And it was a good combination of a show that at the last minute could have used just a tiny bit of directing. So that's what I came in to do, and then got enlisted to be the onstage assistant.
Okay, and I'm so excited, by the way, to see you back on the podcast because in addition to this, you also were on a podcast for a while, right? The two of you were on a podcast for a while with somebody else.
I did a few. I I did a sports talk radio show on Asheville FM with Scott Bunn that was known as Steve Sachs Syndrome until Mr. Sachs asked us to no longer call it that.
No, is
And then
that true? But I didn't
yes,
know that.
yes, he
Really?
called. He called. Um,
Oh my
so we
goodness.
changed it to run that back. So it was a weekly radio show that kind of converted into a podcast. And then I also did one with my friend Josh Battenhorst from Reason Price Babies called Josh and Tom Devour the World, which was as many podcasts grew out of the quarantine times of something to do while you were sitting at home.
And that was so cool too. At one time, it was rumor central that you were going to be leaving the area or you were
This is
quitting
true.
or retiring or something, but that fell through,
I wish I
hopefully.
used the word retirement more. People would be less confused. Yeah, it was all in an effort to try to buy a home. My wife and I have been just long time city dwellers and renters, and then the concept of buying a home seemed like a real nice idea. So that is something we've kind of spent the last year trying to do, and we've looked at a few different places, and we're still searching. But we realized a big part of it was we didn't want to end up too far away from Asheville. So we're working things so that while we'll probably buy a house elsewhere because it's easier to do so, we'll want to stay within striking distance of Asheville so I can continue to work on projects like this.
I'm so glad you are. And I'll come back to Carolina then. So Caroline, I had spoken to you, I guess, when you were getting this one-person show ready, and you did it. So you already did it once. Is that correct? That Tom had mentioned already ran once.
Uh, this show, Becoming American, this will be the third time. I performed it twice at the Asheville Fringe Festival this year in March.
Okay.
So this will be the third iteration.
And so for folks who don't know what it's about, what is it about?
So it's about putting the audience and three contestants through the whole citizenship process, giving them a taste of what we immigrants have to go through when we have to apply and wait for years, and all the forms, and all the doctor's appointments, and all the scrutiny, and all the waits. And so it's just all the bureaucracy that we have to go through. That's exactly what we're going to put them through, but in a fun way. Instead of having to put them through a whole decade, is packed in 60, 90 minutes. And so, yeah, it's a game show. So I turned the whole US citizenship process into a game show because it kind of feels like that at times.
What gave you the idea to write this?
The idea came from last year. I did a residency at the International Storytelling Center in Jonesboro, Tennessee. And I had written, like, I had to write, like, every single day I had to present a different show. And at the time, I didn't have really shows. I just had like independent stories. So I had to organize myself. And one of the days, I ended up presenting my journey, my US citizenship journey, but it wasn't really planned as that. I'll just talk about my green card process and then how I got this citizenship process. But days before doing that show, I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun if, plus they ask you to do 60-minute shows. And I was like, I only have 30 minutes of a show. How am I going to fill out the next 30 minutes? And then that's when the idea came. How about I just run a 10-minute questionnaire of the history questions that that I was asked when I was going through the citizenship process. I'm gonna ask those to the audience and see what happens and see if they can respond about their history, just as I had to learn their history. And that turned out to be really fun. It was kind of improvised that day. And then the next day, I did another show on cultural translation, which is like all the times I went in, had all these stories of things that happened to me here that I didn't understand about this culture. And again, I improvised because I needed to fill up time. And I came up with the idea, how about I ask them questions about the things we immigrants don't understand about their culture and see what people answer. So that was the beginning of this show eventually. And so when I applied to the Asheville Fringe Festival, I thought I'm just gonna combine this idea of asking questions, but in a game, and I'm gonna tell my story as well, my citizenship journey. And that's what it became. It became a game show. So it has changed quite a bit from what I did last August. And this is truly, truly a game show. But in between, I'm always sharing a little bit of my story of how I became a US citizen and how long it took me. It took me 10 years.
Now, I just love the idea of a game show, which is a phenomenal idea. How did you come up with that idea? Just off the top of your head, it just worked out?
No, I mean, I think I probably had watched, I don't watch many game shows, but I think it was at that time we were in a way grieving my husband's grandmother. She passed away 2 years ago, and she loved game shows. She loved them. So every time we went to spend time with her, that's what we would have to do. We would have to sit with her and watch game shows. So one of those moments when we were kind of remembering her, uh, it was like, oh, she always enjoyed this and this show, the singing shows. That was one of her favorites. But there's another one that happens like at 6 a.m. every single day. I can't remember the name, but she loved it and she was always ready to answer all the questions. And so when we were remembering her, that idea came, and then I put together the other things that had happened, and it was like, oh, this is what it should be, a game show.
Love the idea. Prior to putting this together, had you had any improv experience?
I took classes about like 2, 3 years ago. But I'm not really an improviser unless I'm working with children. But yeah, sometimes things happen and I'm able to kind of like say, act on, come up with something on the spot. But most of the time I work on things that are scripted.
So,
Yeah.
Tom, let me ask you, how did you get involved in this then?
Um, yeah, how I got involved very quickly. So you sort of asked about me maybe stepping away, and I
Right.
had taken time off to focus on a potential move and looking to purchase a house. And just some months had gone by, and that hadn't happened, and I was just feeling a little frustrated that I was no longer producing shows and performing as much and otherwise. So when 2026 rolled around, I made a little pledge to get back in touch with performing, and my first idea was like, well, I want to reach out to people I'd like to collaborate with. That's one thing I did want to do differently coming back, is like I want to work with people. Sometimes producing my show, I would work too much on my own and be a miserable man in the back room, angrily typing on my keyboard all the time. So I wanted to collaborate with people who I was impressed with, who I just thought I would enjoy spending time with, who I wanted to support, and Carolina came to mind. And it being me, of course, by March, I finally got around to doing that. So yes, I just reached out to be like, "Hey, Carolina, I said exactly what I just said to you, and I just wonder if there's anything you might have coming up or anything you might want to work on with me or could use some help with." And she said, she can kind of finish like, "Oh, that's crazy. I was just saying to my husband, I wish someone could help me with this show I'm going to do coming up very soon for the Fringe." So I was like, well, great. That's what I was hoping to do. I did miss directing and supporting shows. So like maybe that's something I could do to help. And Carolina is someone who admits that she has largely worked also by herself, creating her own shows. And I thought I could just maybe just add an outside eye, particularly with a history of sketch comedy. I was the artistic director for Groundlings East in New York City for many years, directing a weekly sketch comedy show. So I do have years of experience of helping to shape things and doing game show formats and otherwise. So it seemed a good blend of what I had done and what she was trying to do.
So, in this particular production, and we'll go back to Carolina in a second, but Tom, what's your role in this particular production?
I think she made. So one thing to know, again, encouragement for people to buy tickets is you could be part of the show. I mean, so people who come are then pulled from the audience to become contestants as you go through the process of becoming American. So that is the name of the show, Becoming American, a game show. And I think initially when she was getting ready to do the Fringe version of it, she was just going to pull up a volunteer from the audience also to be the assistant. And then she was like, "Oh, could you be that just so there's just a little certainty about that role rather than it all being kind of crowdsourced?" I was like, "I don't mind at all." So that's what I was able to do for her for that first show. There were two performances. There was a Thursday and a Saturday. So I was the assistant for the Thursday. Unfortunately, I was out of town on Saturday, so she went back to the original model of pulling up an audience member to be the assistant. But then when she connected with Story Parlor, wanting to do the show again, she asked if I would resume my role as the assistant on stage, and we fleshed that out a little bit more in this version.
And I like how you told me before we started taping, you said you see yourself as the Vanna White of this production. Is that kind of your
Do
role, Tom?
I do lots of helpful hand gesturing, and I do spin a wheel, and I give people money. I take money away from people. It's all
Yeah,
very fun with
he's
with a
the
smile.
bureaucratic assistant. So.
Yes.
Is that it? Let me ask you this then, Carolina. So Tom kind of alluded to it. So if somebody comes to this show and it's only one night, they could be involved in the actual being part of it.
Yes. So when they come in, just like as when you're going to the government, you have to fill up forms. So when they come in, everybody will be filling out forms. And one of the forms is precisely asking them if they're interested in participating. So it's still optional. It's not like we're, you or you. It's not. But those who are willing to participate, among those is that we choose our three contestants.
And so to prepare to be a contestant, is there anything people should do beforehand if they're interested?
If they're interested, well, they will have to fill out the second part of
Form.
the form, which asks them, what is your special talent? So
Okay.
they do need to come with some, and all the forms are really hilarious and funny. We're just trying to make fun of the whole process as much as we can, but also be um, kind of aware that this is a process that is just daunting and sometimes it's just ridiculous too. And it really affects sometimes our well-being, like the immigrant well-being, because there's so much of so many forms, so many things to have to go through, much money to pay. um, Not to mention every time the government changes its mind about any laws, it would affect us too.
Now, in any game show, of course, there are prizes. I should ask you if people participate in this. Are there prizes that night?
They will get a certificate
Oh.
of attendance, likely if they pass all the hurdles. Uh, yeah, if they, yeah, there's the spin in the wheel. I mean, there's games, there's gonna be all kinds of stuff. So at the end, just like we immigrants, just the same, we'll have to go through an oath and a pledge at the end. So they'll become citizens of America and they get their certified American sticker, and the three contestants will get a certification.
Rami, I'll talk to you off the air about some idea for prizes. I have an idea some you might be able to use for next week. If you want to get out, people in the contest, I could see Tom or you giving out a prize to people. So I'll speak to you off the air, and that might just be kind of fun.
Wonderful.
How long is this show?
It runs for 90 minutes in at Story Parlor.
Okay.
Uh, but the contest, the whole thing, it's about 60 minutes.
Okay. And who do you think it should see it? What is an age limit or ethnic limit, or who do you want to see it?
I think those who are interested in learning about the U.S. citizenship journey, they definitely should come. If the person is also an immigrant that is going through it, they should come because those immigrants that have come, they really appreciate it. They felt reflected in it. Those who went through the process already can come too. So anyone that wants to kind of see things from a different perspective, that wants to maybe just laugh because I know this process is overwhelming now with the news of things being delayed even more. But this is an opportunity to just first make fun of the whole process, but also just have a good moment because I know things are kind of stressful out there, and we can be empathetic and compassionate just through laughter.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Just seeing some of the comments of people coming up to Carolina after the Fringe Fest show. Again, those who had gone through the um, citizenship process were like, oh my God, you nailed it. You got so many things right. And then a lot of other people coming up being, wow, I had no idea. I did, I had some sense that it was confusing and frustrating, but I didn't realize you had to do all these specific things only to be sort of, go back two spaces every single time you rolled the dice again. So do you have that? But I also just say if anyone just looking for an evening that combines quality storytelling, which Carolina does, along with just a fun framework of kind of a sketch game show, a kind of format where you're seeing people from the audience pulled up and made to participate, answer questions, create uh, uh, um, arts and crafts projects to kind of advance their cause along the way to becoming American citizen.
And Tom, you've obviously seen a lot of stuff and a lot of improv stuff, but have you ever seen anything like this before?
Not like this, no. I mean, again, the game show format is something
Right.
that's very fun to take advantage of. You see it on Saturday Night Live a lot with the random ideas for game shows, but something, so again, a term that's big in Asheville certainly is the idea of integrative arts, a way of blending education with something that's entertaining. And this is exactly that. So rather than Carolina just kind of coming and sort of sharing her story from a perspective of, can you believe what I went through? Oh my, and that was like, I'm going to share my experience, but through this idea, so you get to feel it yourself of, I thought I knew, but gosh, I guess I didn't really know all these specific details about American history and American government. And so I thought it was just a really nice way to um, educate and entertain at the same time.
And just listening to both of you has me laughing and kind of looking forward to this.
Good.
Have, like you said, to have fun, but to also learn something. And so, do you think I'll learn something from going through this?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You might even learn your own history.
Well, Caroline, let me ask you kind of a final question. In terms of people who go through the process, and you went through the process, what percentage of people pass the test, or and do they have to take it a second time? Or it seems like, from what I've heard, it's pretty difficult.
It is difficult. You technically, I mean, after you have to fill out all these forms and they went the backgrounds and you paid all this money and you made prove your love or the reason why you're here by different methods or the lawyers you had to pay. Finally, after years and years, they will send you a form that says, okay, we are ready for you to take your test. And then you have to learn 100 questions about history, right? But the tricky part about that is not only having to learn them and memorize them, but it's also that every time it changes an administration, we have a different government, they will change some of the questions as well. So you cannot study with questions that were asked like 5 years ago or even a year ago. It has to be exactly what the current administration has approved, which makes it more challenging depending on when is it that you're applying. And they don't ask you the 100 questions. They only ask you, if I'm not mistaken, it's like five or six. If you pass them all, wonderful. If you pass three, they give you a chance to, to do an extra two so you have to at least pass like I think four. Um, you can have an interpreter that right there. I didn't need to, uh, but it's stressful because you don't know out of the 100 questions which ones you're gonna get.
If you
Yeah.
fail it, do you get to take it again?
You can ask to take it again, but that's a process that they might ask you, okay, come back in 6 months or 8 months. Again, depending on what are the current government laws regarding that, because it changes every time.
And Tommy, you want to say something?
I would just say that uh, Carolina does a really nice job of kind of indicating you just never know what's going to go wrong in the process without giving too much away. She finally gets a form that she has been waiting for, but unfortunately, it has a um, really unfortunate typo. That you're like, no, and they're like, well, that's what it says. You're like, but no, but that's what it says. And just the idea of you do everything right and just a simple clerical error sets you back months or years. So you just never know. And then, yes, to make it current, that's what's going on right now, where people who were weeks away from acquiring their citizenship have now been put on hold as the current administration has identified 39 countries that they are kind of deeming dangerous, that they are pausing all possible citizenship applications on. So even though you did everything right, you were, again, you could see the finish line because a new administration comes in and goes, I don't know, we're not sure about your country. Pause and now wait weeks, months, maybe never.
And I
Yeah.
can imagine, Tom, in terms of looking at the questions, some of them are probably pretty difficult. I don't know if you've seen the questions,
Yeah.
but can you imagine, forgetting Carolina, people from foreign countries taking these tests, if they gave it to Americans, can you imagine a lot of people would have trouble with it? Think, Tom?
And
Uh,
definitely, yeah, you
they
think you
have.
know it, and then you hear the answer, or particularly if there's any sort of multiple choice, you're like, wow, like they all could probably be right. But Caroline does a really nice job of listing a right answer, a viable answer, and a very silly answer. And again, that's one of the reasons, again, that I wanted to work with Carolina. As a storyteller, she's quite good and heartfelt and has incredible stories of growing up in Colombia and coming to America and otherwise. But it's very funny. And then in working together to get shows ready, stories ready for my series, Listen to This, I would sort of encourage a few jokes or some kind of funny lines, and she would sort of like, really? You think so? And she'd write it down. And then in performance, she would deliver the line, nail it, and then get a good laugh, and we would have a moment of like, see, I told you. But it wasn't just the line, it was the way that Carolina delivered it, and the way that even in the difference between the version of the show that was done at Leaf and that is being done. Just the rewriting is just very funny. So you asked what should people expect? They don't need to think about being funny. Just be willing to participate. Just be themselves. If you do know something, say it. If you don't, that's fun too, because that's, we want people to be like, wow, geez, I thought I was pretty informed about U.S. history. I've gotten only 2 out of 6. So just be yourself, and the format shows up to show off people well. I think both nights people were really happy that they participated for the 2 shows that were done at Leaf.
And Caroline, a couple of final questions. One is, so if people want to see this, and it sounds like something they should try to make a point to see it, how do they get tickets?
They go to Story Parlor to events, and it's right there on their May 15, Becoming American, the game show. They get their tickets through Story Parlor.
Because it almost seems like, it's something that should be more than just one night. I got to think it's
I
something
agree.
that has great legs to it. And
That's what we're
the
working on. And then just quick thing. Yeah. So again, Story Parlor is a fantastic venue. Again, that's where I ran my story series out of for the last several years. But yeah, it's not that big. So get your tickets early, and then just a little heads up, and then go ahead and get there a little early. It's in West Asheville. It can always be a little tricky to find some parking or otherwise. So don't show up at 7:28 for the 7:30 show.
Okay. And a final question for Caroline, and I'll ask you the same question, Tom. But after this one show next week, anything on your agenda, Carolina, that you're working on or going to be performing in?
Actually, I have a whole month and a half of rest that I'm looking forward to, my summer. After that, I'll be actually not I'm traveling. Once I come back in July, I'll be traveling to different places and performing. I have some festivals too. But one thing that I definitely want to do is one of my goals and dreams is that this show goes really well. People enjoy it, and we are able to bring it back in the fall at a different place here in Nashville.
And the same question I'll ask Tom, but if folks want to find out what you're up to or keep track of some of the things you're going to be doing, what's the best way to keep track? Website, Facebook page, any way to keep track of you?
I think that's to you, Carolina.
Yeah, Caroline,
Me.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah,
Thought it was
sorry.
Tom. Yeah, my Facebook, Carolina Quiroga Stories, Instagram, Carolina Quiroga Stories, my website, carolinaquiroga.com. I'm always posting there where I'll be telling stories, where I'll be performing, or what schools I'm visiting. So all my information is always there.
Okay, it's a good way to keep track on you. And Tom, the same thing too. You're just a little bit busy because even as we do this show, you're involved in the Asheville Storytelling Festival.
It's the Asheville Improv Festival.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And again, good for you. I know that George Awad was on with you a couple weeks back talking about it. And you're always good to send a little note. You're like, were your ears, ringing? You were talked about today. You're always really good to do that to anyone who's mentioned in an interview on your show. And I
But
did get that.
we'll mention George. Okay, but go ahead. But what else are you up to, Tom?
But yeah, so again, the Asheville Improv Festival, the 2026 Asheville Improv Festival is going on this weekend, May 6th through 9th. We're into the third day, and my troupe, Reasonably Priced Babies, we are a local headliner, so we will be performing Saturday night at 7:30 at the Orange Peel. Always an honor to perform on the stage of the Orange Peel, and we will be part of a show where we will open up and do a shorter set, and then after us will come a group called Baby Wants Candy. It was a fantastic musical improv group, a national touring group, and they will come out and do their improvised musical, and then they will come back in the 9:30 show, and they do something called Shamilton, which is their kind of improvised version of Hamilton, where they get a suggestion of a different famous person or celebrity and create a musical around their life story.
And so after the festival, anything else on the agenda?
Sure. Well, I can say that the day after we do the show at Story Parlor, I will be teaching a class in town. It's an on-camera improv class, basically helping those who are working on camera to feel more comfortable when they're asked to do improv in an audition or rehearsal or otherwise, or also let improvisers know how their talents can transfer to some on-camera work. So that's going to be Saturday the 16th from 12 to 3 at the Screen Artists Co-op up in the Riverside Business Park. And then, yeah, there'll be a few performances from Reasonably Priced Babies over the summer. But I also hope to, like Carolina, enjoy some of the summer and do some travel as well.
And so again, lastly, if folks want to keep track of you, what's the best way to find that
Sure.
out?
Well, yeah, I'm on Facebook at Tom Chalmers. I'm on Instagram at Chom Chalmers. You can follow Reasonably Priced Babies on Facebook and Instagram as well. And that's usually the best way to find out what I have coming up. I mostly post about upcoming performances and shows, so that's what I use my social media for.
And if I could just mention one other idea people keep in mind, but Tom came and performed at a birthday party I had not too long ago. So if you're ever looking for some great entertainment for a party, what a great idea to contact Tom or
We had a good time. That was last night. A lot of people came together to perform in celebration of you, or at least share stories.
and
So that was another evening of quality storytelling.
And Carolina gave me the idea next big birthday party, I'll have you do this skit on becoming a U.S. citizen. What a
There you
great
go.
idea. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys both for being my guests on this edition of Blaine's Row Show. Also, I'd like to thank my producer, Cappy DeSetti, and hopefully I'll bump into you guys sometime soon, if not before. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Blaine.
you.